Welcome back everyone. My name is Sagar and we are back here with another video. So this is the lecture number 22 of our Java and DSA course. And in the previous videos we learned about linear search and binary search and we also practiced some questions of that. So in this particular video we will be covering about strings. So what are strings, how they are stored and some basic methods in strings. So without making any further ado, let's get started. So what are strings? First of all, strings are non-primitive data types in Java. So what are non-primitive? So primitive means something that is primary, and we can say non-primitive means that is not primary, or you can say which is not internally provided by your Java language. But here you can see this string is provided by your Java language. You don't need to import something to use these strings. So how can we say it is non-primitive? Even some people call it as ninth primitive data type in Java, but it is not the case. So string is a non-primitive data type in Java because in our Java language we are not supposed to use any methods with our primitive data types, but in order to manipulate our strings we have to use our method. So that is why string is a non-primitive data type. So you can see here when I'm creating a primitive data type like this integer is a primitive, right? So you cannot use here any methods. You can see here with this dot I can call any method, but here you can see there is no method. This sout is for printing, this arg is for argument in function call, and there is no method here, right? But in order to use strings, but in order to manipulate in the string object, I have to use here a method. So sb dot, and you can see here there are multiple methods here. This length is a method which will return me the length of my string object, and then this equals and get bytes and to lowercase to uppercase. So there are so many methods in string and we will just see all of them. So string is a non-primitive data type, right? But how can we use strings? So like you can see here in our primitive data type, how we are defining, how we are initializing our primitive values. So first of all, you can see here the data type, that is integer here, and after that this is the reference variable, and it is just the name that is pointing to the original value in the memory. So don't worry, we will just learn about all these things, how this value is stored in your memory and how this I is pointing to that value in your memory. So for now, just remember this thing, this I is your reference variable which is pointing to your value in the memory. So this 0 is your original value, and after that this semicolon. So this is how we can initialize some value in our Java language, and we can just do the same thing with our strings. So first of all, the data type, but it is not the data type here because string is also a class. You can see here, let me just control and left click. So you can see here string.java, that means string is also a class. You can see here public final class string. So just don't focus on these things. What is this final? What is this implement? We will just learn about all this in our object oriented programming. So you just need to know this string is also a class. And let me just tell you here. So we are creating, so this is our class object type. So this is our object type, and after that name. So I will just use here str, and you can see this is the declaration part. And how can we initialize some string? So we can just do it like this, equal to this double colons and after that some name, Sagar. So that means we are initializing a string with string literals. So just remember that thing, this is initializing with string literal. So this is our string literal which have a value Sagar. So we know that string is a class, right? So we can also create its object using its constructor. So like we are doing in our scanner class. So this scanner sc equal to new scanner system dot in. So I just told you about all these things. So let me just import this. So I told you about all these things. This is a scanner class and we are creating an object, this new object using the scanner constructor. So this is a constructor of scanner class which is taking an input system.in. So like we were doing in our scanner class, we have to do the exact same thing with our string object. So first of all, this is a string object and then the name str, and after that the same thing, new object, new string object, and I can just do it like this. I don't need to pass any argument here. So this is also creating a new string object, that is str. So let me just write here some values. So I will write here Sagar, and likewise we can change values in our primitive data types. Like first this I was 0, then I can change I equal to 10, and I can just do the same thing with my string objects. So first this str was Sagar, so I can just change it to DSA or Java. So this str is now pointing to Java somewhere in my memory. So we will be just coming to these things. So let me just print out this. So str. So you can see here the value is changed and we are now printing Java. So now let me just show you how strings are stored in your memory. So first of all, there is some memory out there and that is called as heap area. So just remember that word, heap area, and all the objects that are created using this new keyword. So the object that we are creating, the scanner object and also the string object that we are creating will be stored in this heap area. And after that, there is some specific area that is reserved for your string objects, that is using this literals. So every object, every string object that we are creating using these string literals, that this Sagar and this Java will be stored in that reserved area, and that is inside this heap area, which will be called as string pool area. So also remember that word, string pool area. So that is the reserved area for your string literals. And how strings are stored? So first of all, we are creating this Sagar. So you can see here there are multiple characters in our strings. So this S is also a character, this A, this G, again this A and R. So there are multiple characters in our strings, and we can see it is a collection here. So can we say string is a collection of multiple characters? String is a collection of characters? Yes, we can say it. And the simplest collection that we know till now is an array. So string should be stored in the form of character array, but that is not the case. String is not stored in the form of character array. Instead, let me just check it here. So in our string class, you can see here private final byte. So you can see here byte is a data type, and this. So these square brackets are used to create an array. So this byte array value, and you can also see here the value is used for character storage. So that means our string is stored in the form of byte array, because our characters are not stored as it is in our memory. We know that thing. We know that thing, right? Our characters are also stored in the form of their ASCII values. So ASCII values of these characters are stored in the form of byte, and there are multiple characters. You can see here there are 5 characters. So we will create an array of size 5. So this is a byte array of size 5, which will contain the value of all the characters in our string. So let me just tell you how they are stored in your memory. So first of all, let me clear this. So we know that we are creating a byte array. So this is a byte array which will contain the value of all the ASCII value of our characters in our string. So first of all, we will create an array of size 5. So this byte array, there is a byte array of size 5. This will be stored in our string pool area. Okay, so remember that thing. This thing will be stored in our string pool area, SPA. So after that, we will create a byte array of size 5. This is our array. So we know that there is zero base indexing, and if you don't know why, just check out our arrays introductory video. And here in each index we will just store the ASCII value of these characters. So I just can't remember the ASCII value of this S, so let me just say we will be storing it like this. But here we are storing the ASCII values. Remember that thing, we are not storing characters, we are storing ASCII values. So here this is our original string value, and we are also creating a str. So this str is just a reference variable which will be created in our heap area. So there were 2 areas, you can see here. This is heap area, HA, and there is a string pool area. So there is a reserved area for our string literals. So we just created these 2 things. First of all, this. So this Sagar is the original value which will be created in our string pool area, and after that is this str, which is a reference variable. This is created in our heap area. This will be pointing to the original string value in our string pool area. So you can just imagine it like this. This is our str in our heap area and is pointing to the original value in our string pool area. So after that, you can see here str is equal to Java. That means we are reinitializing the value of our str, and str will be now pointing to Java. But how can we change the value in our array? We know we can change the value in our array, but how can we increase or decrease the size of our array? Because once created, we cannot increase or decrease the size of our array. If you don't know about these things, first check out our arrays video, link is in the description. So here you can see, let me just write here something else. So you can see here, first this was Sagar. So we created an array of size 5 and we filled all the values. But after that, you can see here str is equal to Java DSA. So that means we have to change the value of this str object. So suppose we are creating a normal array. So integer array arr. So suppose we are creating this. So we will just create an array of size 3, 1, 2, 3. And our arr is also pointing to this arr. So we are pointing here. And after that, we know we can change the value in our array. So suppose I want to change the first value that is on 0th index, and I'm saying that first value will be 10. So we can update the value here. So this value will be updated, original value in our array will be updated. So we can also print this out. So first of all, after, before changing and after changing. So let me just check it out. So first we will print 1, and after that the original value in our original array will be changed. So you can see here, first it was 10, and after that the original value will be updated, and we are printing here 10. So we are also creating our string as an array, but how can we change the original value in our array if we are also increasing the size? So you can see here, first this str was of size 5. You can see here we are creating an array of size 5. But after this line, you can also see this is also a valid thing. We can change str to Java DSA, which have a length greater than 5. So what does that mean? So we cannot change the size in our array, right? So what is going on here? You can see here str is pointing to a new array now. So we will just create a new array. That means a new string will be created, which will contain all these values. So 7 length and Java DSA. Java DSA. They will also store the ASCII values. Okay, so first of all, using these string literals, we will just create a new array in our string pool area, and after that this str will now point to this. So this will be the case. You can see here our str will now pointing to this Java DSA, and this previous array, this previous string will also exist in our string pool area, and after some time our garbage collection will remove this out. So we will also learn about that. So what is going on here? Instead of just changing the characters in our previous array, we just created a new array, and our str will now point it to this new array. So that means we cannot just change the values in our array. So suppose I am doing it like this. Str is equal to, instead of writing Sagar, I am writing it as AAGAR. So that means here I am just changing the first character, but this will not change the first character. This will again create a whole new array. So we will again create a whole new array that will contain AGAR, and our str will now point to this new array. So we cannot change the values in our string objects, and that means strings are immutable. And immutable means once created, we cannot change the original value of our object. So once this Sagar is created, we can never change any value in this. So this will be the case. And after that, let me just show you what is the advantage of this string pool area. So suppose I am writing it as this. So first of all, this A is equal to Sagar, and this B is equal to Sagar, and let me just copy it. So suppose I am creating multiple variables with the same object. So suppose I am writing it as this. So you can see here all these objects are equal to this value Sagar, and let me just show you here. So here in this case, first this Sagar will be created, and we will just create an array of size 5, which will contain ASCII values of all the characters. So let me just write here characters. So first this will be created, and our A is a reference variable which will point to this in our string pool area. So after this line, when we are here, so that is the beauty of our string pool area. So when we are here, first we will check if this object already exists in our string pool area or not, and if it exists, this B will already point to that object. So at this step, first we will check this Sagar exists in our string pool area or not, and we can see here this Sagar already exists. So our B will point to this. So B will point to this, and after that the same case for all the values. So C will also point to this, and same for D, E, and F. So all the variables which have the same value will now point to this, and that means there is only one object. So suppose there are 10 objects, so that means we are creating only one. We are creating our object only once, and we can just say our 10 objects will now point to this one value. And with this concept, we are saving a lot of our memory. And if this concept doesn't exist, that means we will just create 10 values with this same object. So this with this same value Sagar. So we will just repeat this thing for our all variables. So that will just eat our whole memory. So with this string pool area concept, we are saving a lot of memory. And after that, what is the benefit of this immutability concept? So that means we cannot change the original value of our object. So suppose this is our B, that is also pointing to Sagar. So that means there are two objects which are pointing to same value in my SPA. So there are two objects A and B which is pointing to Sagar, and after that suppose I have to change the value. So AAGAR. So suppose I have to change the value of B. So immutability means that we cannot change the original value of this object, and we will just create a new array with this new values AAGAR. So after that this B will now point to this new array. So let me just print it out, A and B. So let me just check it. So here you can see this both values are changed now, and you can also see the original value, this Sagar, is not changed. So we are just creating a new array with this new values, and this A is still pointing to this Sagar. So that was the concept when we are creating our string objects with these double quotes, with these string literals, and when we are creating with this new keyword. So new string, and there is some value, so Sagar. So that means using this we are creating object in our heap area. So let me just remove it. So there is our heap area and there is our string pool area. So suppose I am writing something as this. So they will not point to same object, because when I am writing it as this using these string literals, I am creating an object that will be created in my string pool area. And when I am writing it as this using new keyword, we know that string is a class, so we can here use a new keyword, and after that I'm using a string constructor. That means I'm creating a new object. So this object will be created in my heap area. So this will be created using the same concept. We will just create an array which will contain ASCII values. So they are not pointing to the same object, and let me just show you how. So I am writing it as s equal to a. So here you can see both the string have the same value Sagar Sagar, but they are not pointing to the same object. So this s and this a, so s is pointing to my string pool area object, so this s is now pointing to here. So s is pointing here in my string pool areas object, and this a is creating a new string object in my heap area. So this a will point to here. So let me just check if they are equal or not. So this will return me false. So you can see here there is this false. So why this is false? Because they are not pointing to the same object. Still you can see they have the same value, but they are not pointing to the same object in my memory. So this return me false. But suppose I want to check the values in these two strings, then I can use this method. You can see here s dot equals. So this equals is a method of string class. You can just control and left click here. You can see here this equals, and first this is checking this is equal to an object or not. So that means first let me just tell you the concept of this double equals to a. So first this double equal to will check either they are in the same location or not in my memory. So if I am writing it as this SAGAR, so now that will return me true, because now I am creating both variables with the string literals and they will point to the same object in my string pool area. So that return me true, because they are pointing to the same object in my memory, which is this in my string pool area. So there is no object out there, and they are both pointing to the same object. So when I am using constructor and I am writing the same value, so this will return me false, because now they are not pointing to the same object. This a is now pointing to somewhere out there in my heap area. So this a, and there is another object which contains Sagar. So now this return me false. But if I want to check the values in these two objects, so then I will use this equals to method. So you can see here s dot. So dot means I have to access some property of this s object, and s is a string. So I have to access the property equals method in my string class. So let me just write here s dot. You can see here there are so many methods in my string class, and I have to use this equals, and after that this a. So this equals method will check values in my both objects, and you can see here they have the same value. So now this will return me true. You can see here they have the same value, so it is returning me true there. And let me just show you more methods. So s dot, using this dot you can access all the properties in my string class. So you can see here there is this equals, and after that get bytes, and this lowercase, two lowercase. That means all the characters in my string will be in lowercase. But here is the same case, it will not change the original value, it will just create a new object which have all the lowercase value. So suppose I am writing it in uppercase, so it will just print me characters in lowercase. So you can see here this Sagar in lowercase. And after that, let me just show you more methods. So lowercase, same, there is a method called as to uppercase, and after that caret. So caret means I have to access some particular character according to their index. So this is an array, so that means there is also zero base indexing in our strings. So suppose I want to access the first character, so that means there is a zero index. So this is taking an argument, that means this is an index. So this zero is the index that I want to access, so it will just return me s. So you can see here there is this s, and after that let me show you more methods so that you can just remember all this. These things exist. You don't have to cram all the methods, you just have to remember all these things, that there is a thing that exists. So you can just search and check out what is the name of that method. So there is this index of method which will, so this index of method will return me the index of some particular character that I will pass here. So suppose I want the index of a, so this will return me the first index, first occurrence of a, so it will return me 1, because you can see here s is on 0 index, a is on 1 index, so it will return me 1. And you can see here, and let me just show you more methods. So there is this toString, okay, that it have no need here. So this compare to this concat. So let me just show you what is this concat. So concat means this Sagar, and I have to add more characters to it. So suppose I want to concat a new string Sagar, suppose I have to concat here DSA with space. So that means this will return me, I think this is a void method. Okay, this is a, yeah, this is a string method, so it will return me a string, and you can see here Sagar space DSA. So that means I have to add some values, and there is also something here, this plus is also a concatenation method, and I can just do the same thing here, space DSA. So remember, in our very initial videos I told you that Java doesn't support operator overloading, but internally Java provides this exception that this plus operator is overloaded for our string values, and this plus will means our concatenation. That means this will append the values to my original string. So this s have a original value Sagar, and we will just create a new array which will contain this Sagar DSA values. So remember this thing, this plus operator is overloaded particularly for strings, and this will work same as dot concat. So let me just write here dot concat. So this will work the same, and let me just quickly show you another methods more. So you can just check out all the methods here. So there is this is empty method which will return me boolean either true or false, is our string is empty or not. And there is this last index of, it is same as our index of method. Our index of method is returning us the first occurrence of our character that we are passing. So this last index of will return us the last occurrence of our character that we are passing. So after that, so there is this replace method, that means I have to pass two arguments here. So first character is a and second is p. So this will replace occurrence of a with p. So let me just show you here. So first this was Sagar, and this will now print s p g p r. So that means this method will replace all occurrences of this a with p. So you can see here a will be replaced with pp, and a new object is created. So you can just check out all the methods here with this dot, and you can just try all by yourself. And now it is time for your practice problem. So today in your task 22, first you have to input a string and then reverse and print it. So suppose for an example, it is a very easy question, right? So suppose you are given a string ABC, and you just have to reverse and print it. So its reverse will be CBA. So you know that string is stored in the form of an array, we just learned about in this video. So you just have to traverse and reverse and then print it. So share your code in the comment section, and first one to comment the answer will get a huge shout out in the upcoming video. And that is it for today everyone. If this video is helpful, go hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel, and thank you for watching.